On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss Security Master Plan for Tertiary Institutions.
Claire, what happened to your voice? Are you under the weather or what?
Well, I'll tell you once we get into the program.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. After the home, most parents see the school as the safest place for their children, a space where dreams are nurtured and futures are built.
Absolutely, but sadly, that sense of safety is fast eroding. Now, in the last 2 years alone, at least 10 school kidnappings have been reported across Nigeria, and that involves about 600 children.
Data from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project shows a disturbing uptick in the abduction of children, some from their schools, others while on their way to class.
Now, the recent abductions in Kebbi and Niger states are a stark reminder of just how vulnerable our learning spaces have become.
And it is not just basic or secondary schools. Tertiary institutions are also in the line of fire. In Rivers State, for instance, 5 students were recently abducted from the Umuahia satellite campus.
And students say they raised the alarm repeatedly, now protesting what they describe as a campus that has become unsafe for learning.
Really unfortunate. We have seen this before. In 2017, twin bomb blast rocked the University of Maiduguri, killing at least 5 people and shattering the illusion that universities are off limits to attacks.
Sadly, now concerned by this trend, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, has announced plans to develop a comprehensive security master plan for tertiary institutions across the country.
Stakeholders say the goal is better threat prevention, early detection, and a stronger, faster response when danger strikes.
True. So today on Good Morning Nigeria, we will be asking the big questions. What should a real security master plan for tertiary institutions look like? And how do we move from policy to practice?
The safety of our tertiary institution is not optional. It is everybody's business. Beyond the rhetorics, what are the foundational steps needed to protect our campuses? I'm Ademola Aduye. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurazak. Thank you for starting your Wednesday with us. And we're live from Abuja, the nation's capital.
Well, thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. To begin our conversation this morning on Security Master Plan for Tertiary Institutions, let's take this background report by Ibrahim Bello Gunda.
The plan to develop a comprehensive security master plan for tertiary institutions in Nigeria is born out of various security threats faced by tertiary institutions, including banditry, kidnapping and terrorism, among others. The security master plan aims to enhance threat prevention, detection, and response capabilities covering various aspects of campus security, including intelligence gathering and emergency response mechanisms. The shared responsibility of campus security among government, security agencies, tertiary institutions administrators, students, staff, and communities will encourage the sharing of expertise, experiences, and practical solutions to ensure robust, future-proof campus security. This master plan is expected to establish a security framework for all institutions to transcend institutional capacity for threat prevention, detection, mitigation, and response. It is also expected to promote intelligence-led security operations and proactive risk management, protect students, staff, facilities, infrastructure, and intellectual assets, and deepen collaboration between institutions, security agencies, and host communities. The master plan will also institutionalize emergency preparedness, crisis management, and business continuity protocols, and integrate modern physical and digital security technologies into campus operations. How apt is the Campus Security Master Plan initiative how important is the preventive strategies rather than reactive approach to securing tertiary institutions, and what should stakeholders involved in campus security focus on the most? These questions will set tune for discussion on Good Morning Nigeria, as our guests are already seated for the conversation.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that background report and for those questions, which I'm sure that our guests are ready to respond to them. Now, joining us for today's discussion, we have Dr. Bashir Usman Kufi, is the chairman, Backers Guards and Security, retired a lecturer from ABU University, chairman, Security Institutions, Initiative rather. Dr. Kufi, it's good to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria.
All right. Also here we have a retired AIG, Wilson Inalego. Thank you for joining us. Good to have you once again.
Yes, pleasure. Thanks for the award.
All right.
I appreciate it, and good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you too. And joining us via Zoom from Maiduguri, we have Professor Garba Ibrahim, Department of History and Strategic Studies, University of Maiduguri. Prof, it's good to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria for this discussion.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and good morning, Nigeria.
Prof, I would like to stay with you at least. Let's kickstart this conversation. I mean, rising from the twin bomb blast that we had in your university some time ago, what do you think are the major, pressing security concerns facing tertiary institutions in this country?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me say that we have to offer thanks to God. At the University of Maiduguri, the miracle is that the university did not suffer as much security threat as would have been expected, given that Maiduguri is the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency. And that is thanks to the diligent effort by our security agencies to safeguard the university and Maiduguri itself. And also to say that the bomb blast and the general security was part of the general insecurity that the country has been facing. And it is important that we are able to separate the general insecurity atmosphere all over the country and the internal security of campuses, which have, nowadays we tend to confuse the two. As a matter of fact, from around 1999, we have tended to look at internal security of campuses as being the same as what the campuses call external security, that is security of the general environment. So overall, the campuses have been relatively safe in the history of this country until about 1999. Incidentally, that was about the time when the present democratic experiment, kicked off. The campuses, especially the federal university, the campuses had developed their own security mechanism for regulating the campus environment, and that had been going on very well. But from 1999, the federal government, in its own wisdom, decided to outsource security of the campuses, and as a result, we see the springing up of all kinds of so-called security agencies that were there to provide essentially only guard duty, guarding installations and so on and so forth, but neglecting the wider aspect of security on the campus. And incidentally, from that time, we saw the upsurge of the problem of cultism, and other issues that wrecked the universities, and even religious extremism that wrecked the campuses. And the universities were helpless to confront it because their own internal system of security management, was disrupted. This has spread across the country, all the campuses in the country. And incidentally, we have also seen during this period the upsurge of the establishment of state universities and also of private universities. So the problems keep multiplying while the internal mechanisms for containing these problems continue to be weakened by an insensitive desire to either reduce cost or to centralize matters. And that is why I am interested in hearing the discussion about this, this initiative, whether it is yet another attempt to centralize the security of the campuses or to provide genuine solutions to the security of the campuses.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that's your opening remarks there. We are all interested, to get to know the master plan that government is putting in place, to ensure adequate security in our campuses. Dr. Kofi, you've been a lecturer and you are also in charge of this master plan. One of the brain behind it. But from what Prof just said now, that the internal security of most campuses are not that adequate. Now, from your own experience, what do you think are the most pressing issues here?
Well, thank you very much. I think I'm in a very good position to discuss this aspect. I taught in ABU, Zaria, for 40 years. And in those 40 years, 37 years, I spent it inside the campus. And ABU is the biggest campus in the country. And apart from that also, I basically visited and slept in most of the campuses in Nigeria.
Okay.
So now, when you look at the campus, one, people have to understand it within the context of what is a campus, because it's a unique atmosphere. One, in the campus, we produce products, and these products are the students who work in various places, from finance to NTA to everywhere. Now, which means the creators of the products live on the campus. Now, those products we want to create, the students live in the campus. Now, you have people who are not students, who are not lecturers or teachers, but they also stay in the campus because they have their small kiosks. They have places where they sell food and all this kind of thing. And also, you have a situation where also you have people who are also workers in the university, who are even security agencies. Okay. In most campuses, you have DSS who live inside the campus. You have also police. And to some extent, sometimes you have even the military who are living around those kind of areas. So campus is such a unique place that you need a comprehensive, integrated, actionable program so that they can be able to make their environment secure. So so the idea of the master plan is that now we must have a master design of what is happening concerning security in our campuses. Okay. Now, and also, mark you, there is also a statement from the president of the country, of which he declared state of emergency in terms of security.
National security.
National security. Now, I think it is on that platform, the TED Fund come up with the idea that, you see, because the TED Fund make an intervention, is making an intervention in over 300 institutions in Nigeria, because you know they intervene in the federal government universities, they intervene in polytechnics, in colleges of education, both federal and state.
States, yeah.
So which means they have strategic interests because they also make investments. And sometimes in these campuses, you make this investment, but you can't use it because of insecurity. Now, when you look at the case of, for example, University Dusama, the main campus, which billions were spent, cannot be utilized up to today. So they were still in the temporary sites, and the student number is growing. And Mike, you know, they kidnap some kids from those. So I think the TED Fund saw it needful to see what plans can they do in line with the federal government position on this. And I think they find themselves in a very strategic position. Number one, the executive secretary of the TED Fund was a federal permanent secretary, and now as an executive secretary, so we have a holistic understanding of the Nigerian strategic structure bureaucratically. And the chairman of the board of trustees, Aminu Masari, Right Honorable Aminu Masari, was also a governor in Katsina State where there was this activity. And he was also number 4 in the country. He was Speaker House of Representatives. And I know through our security initiative, I worked closely with him when he was the governor of Katsina. We almost stamped out the banditry in Katsina during that our activity. So based, I think, and they make an approach, we discuss it and say, look, there is need to have a master plan
for tertiary
institution. Because as it is now, we campuses, we don't even communicate with each other. Like somebody in the University of Abuja does not know what is happening in the University of Nsukka. But we have to see, when we are talking of security master plan, we are not limiting it to kidnapping. No, there are violence against women, there is cultism, there are, yes, you know, so, and harassment and all this. So if you didn't integrate this and also orient people, so it should be also people-oriented. That's why we kick-started when we are talking of the master plan. Then the TED Fund thought, look, the first starting point, let's talk to the chief executives. So they invited the chief executives of all the universities in Nigeria, and then the head of the Institute of Polytechnics and colleges of education. But then who are those under those kind of people? Then we say, okay, get the deans of students, get the chief security officer, and let's brainstorm, and let's know even what is. Because even in the security master plan, you are thinking, every area has its own peculiarities. Like you don't concentrate much on banditry when you go to maybe University of Lagos, or you go to maybe University of Ile-Ife. Maybe probably the discussion there will be within the OPC issue, the cultism and all this kind of stuff. Because you know, yesterday I saw it in your program that a student was killed yesterday in Rufus Giwa Polytechnic by a cultist group. So also when you are going to Borno State, Maiduguri, the emphasis there is no more on banditry but more on Boko Haram. So you have to analyze it within the context. And that's why we gathered professionals, and I'm happy one of our resource persons is here, who's a well-known
let me just introduce him, Dr. Yahuza Getso. as a security, intelligence, and investigation expert. He came in when the discussion, started. Dr. Getso, it's good to have you join us on this discussion. All right.
Morning.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kofi, for at least giving us a tip of that master plan. We'll still come back to you to get the full details on it. But let me bring in retired AIG Wilson in Alego here. I mean, from your experience as a security expert, from this master plan and the issues, security issues in tertiary institutions, what do you think are the major pressing, substance here?
Well, for me, when I saw the picture of those students released, the 100 of them looking just teenagers, 8 to 12, 13, and all that, it's a very depressing picture.
Very depressing.
Therefore, any step taken to redress the situation in our schools, and not just tertiary institutions, but even secondary and primary school, as our recent experience.
That's why the Safe School Initiative.
I think, for me, I think we've had the Safe School Initiative. It appeared to be working, which was set up after the Chibok girls kidnapped in 2014. And in 2015, the Safe School Initiative gathered steam. And then there were the mass kidnap in Katsina. But when everything seemed to cool down, we seem to think everything is normal. Now, there were kidnaps in Niger, in Kebbi, and now suddenly it has jolted us to action. But I think getting the master plan, for me, is good. But I just want to think that we have a national framework, which is the National Security Strategy Document 2019, which outlines the way security is conducted for the different sectors. Okay. But that document, compiled by the Office of National Security, I don't know if they have a fresh one, but I know there is one in 2019. And now, it did not quite emphasize what I think needs to be addressed, and that is the issue of local government, of our communities. Because you can have the best security within the university itself, but the university exists in an environment. And if you do not, any plan that does not carry the local government, and so the situation that we have in our country is we've got to look at security from ground up. And if we look at security from ground up, we begin to look at, because 70% of crimes, whether it's terrorism, mass kidnap, they occur in a community. And so once you are having a master plan, you've got to have the National Security Strategy Document, which is the national framework for dealing with security. And so the issue I want to look at is, if we don't have that integration from the community, and it doesn't just happen in a vacuum, the local government must have active security committees, which are decentralized committees of the state security committee. The local government security committees are the decentralized committees which deal with conflict, local intelligence, local response, because this is where it happens. Now, the Safe School Initiative was meant to address all this, but I think there is kind of inconsistency in the implementation. It never goes consistent, because when something happens, everybody is jolted to act, and that's the situation that we have. So if we are having a national master plan, I would advise that we look at the National Security Strategy Document 2019, the National Counter-Terrorism Document of 2013 and 2016, and then the National Counter-Terrorism Center, they have a plan, I think 2025 to 2030. We've got to look at those plans, because so that we operate within them. So those who are tasked with this, designing this master plan, must look at these three documents that I have mentioned, because even recently, I think the House of Representatives, I think they had a special session in dealing with the issue of security, and they recognize the issue of the local government, the role of the traditional rulers. It is the integration of this that will create a safe environment. And then when you have a safe environment, it's easier to have a safe school. Because when you hear the kidnap, if they kidnap in the township, the bus is going to take them. So in the rural areas, they just melt into the forest, they melt into the bush, and it's difficult to find them. So in any plan that we are having, and I think we need to have this integration, it is going to help. And now when you go outside, when you look at our campuses, where this take place, it is only in Nigerian universities. If you are not a student, you are not a lecturer, you are not a worker, what are you going to do? And so we need to have this a bit of high-tech, not so much of high-tech communication. Recently I was out of the country, and we had all our engagements in a university. And once you are going to the university, as you get the effective access control, your picture comes. Based on that, your picture that appears, the gate opens. Okay. But a situation where you have petty traders, you have business centers, and anybody just can drive in.
All comers affairs.
All comers. It means they're able to carry out surveillance. And once they're able to carry out surveillance, gather intelligence, and study the vulnerability of the university, it becomes easy. So I think there should be investment. I think TEDFON should invest in technology so that access control to the universities are has. That is why the University of Maiduguri and other, but you can't say that for those in the rural areas. So the point, in summary, what I want to say, we must have an integration. We must encourage, first of all, engagement with the local government chairman, engagement with the emirs, with the obis, with the obas, engagement, give voice to critical stakeholders in our communities, because we will not talk about tertiary institutions, because what is happening is happening in primary school and in secondary school. So we must have an integrated whole.
An integrated form of security network. Thank you very much, AIG Wilson. We'll come back to you later. Let's bring in Dr. Getso now. I mean, Dr. Kufi has given us a tip that you are one of the planner of this master plan and one of the resource persons there. Now, from your own experience, I mean, we're laying the foundation now for our discussion concerning the security challenges that we have in our tertiary institutions. What do you think are the most pressing issues there? And because from what Wilson said, I mean, all this master plan, all this security, there have been policies before, but the implementation has always been the major challenge. From your experience, what do you think are the issues?
Well, I think it is very important and essential for us to look at the number of outlines, one of which the relationship between the units and departments, as well as management and administration, as well as the security in our tertiary institutions. That is one. Secondly, we need to look at how long and for how much have we been doing need assessment, revisiting our security architecture within these institutions, and how effective has it been, and what are the gaps. And at the same time, host communities can be vulnerable to the institution. The students, staff, and others who are interacting. Maybe there are business communities, there are partners, there are ordinary hawkers who move around the institutions. They too, they can be recruited easily by any of the group of criminals. Like mentioned by Dr. Kurfi as well as AIG, we have different kind of groups that interact with the institutions. And government have made a lot of investment, and having this document the national strategic what, national what, national what. What does that mean? How do we link those documents with the local governments? How do we link it with our leadership recruitment strategy? Because we need to be very, very careful. Sometimes we miss the gap, the disconnect between the polling unit level, the political ward level, and the institutions. What is the level of ownership have we been given the local government authority, which is the local government, the host local government of those institutions? How are they interacting? How are they interacting with relevant stakeholders in terms of security management in the country? The police, the civil defense, the immigration, the custom, the military, the DSS, and the rest of them. Okay. And yes, of course, among the students, there are students from police institutions, there are students from DSS institutions who might go back to those institutions in order to acquire additional certificates. How is the government interacting with them? Okay. What effort have they been making and what inputs? And for how long do we have to have these documents, like the AIG mentioned, 2015, 2000 and that, 20, this and that.
Several documents.
Yeah. So those documents, how have we been allowing, how have we been making efforts to link those documents with the chief security officers of the institutions, with head of management of the institutions, with the student union of the institutions, with the academic staff union, with the non-academic staff union, and the host community and the traditional institutions. In most cases, you realize there are even a union of Achaba Okada groups. Okay. There are a union of tricycle riders who interact within the institutions. And anybody can come in and anybody can go. I always mention there are a number of Boko Haram members in our institutions for 3 purposes or more. Probably among the managers in the institutions, probably among the students in the institution, probably among those who come around and conduct surveillance because they want to see what are the strategic measures they can use in order to either conduct recruitment of either the staff or the student or the hawkers around, what strategic measures they can use in order to break through the security within the institutions. And also they can also come in order to look at the partners. So how have we been able to review this document? Because it's something that I will suggest to the Office of the National Security Advisor and other line ministries. Minister of Education is one of them. Minister of Foreign Affairs is one of them. Minister of Interior is one of them. Minister of Police Affairs is one of them. Minister of Defense is one of them. And Minister of Finance. Okay. This line ministry must come and revisit the strategic working document for sub-school initiative and the document mentioned stationed at the Office of the National Security Advisor. I'm very sure and optimistic that during the course of exchange of activities, probably the touch point, the other institutions like probably the police and civil defense might have had interactions based on happenings, the Yahoo activity, the Boko Haram, both ideologically religious and the criminal perspective. Okay. Because the crime within our institutions are divided and they are subdivided. Whatever we have in any of our communities, whatever we have in the south, in the southeast, in the northeast, in the northwest, in the north central, we may also have it in Ahmadu Bello University. We may have all of them as a complex environment in Bayero University, Kano. We may have it in the Nigerian University on Nsukka. We may have the something in University of Lagos. Because you cannot deter, you cannot ask anybody from Kano State not to go to University of Lagos. And you don't have systematic strategy. I will advocate for all the institutions to develop a background profiling document for all the students and the staff. That will help in checkmating the behavior and attitude and also understanding where Mr. A and Mr. B came. And then the security department should be allowed to random sample those documents and scrutinize them so that we know who do we have and how do we move about and then building on. Okay. I'm very optimistic that many of those international criminal societies, ISO, Boko Haram, Yahoo, and the rest of them, they can easily come into our institutions and conduct recruitment and also institutionalize a system that will be very fragile. And the institutions or the government may not understand that is happening. Probably until after 30 years. When the student will graduate, he has already been recruited, he has already been trained, his capacity has been built up, he has established network with all the criminal networks and so on and so forth. So he will be re-engaging others, also incorporating them among his family members, and those his family members will also be extending the smoke of those behavioral perspective, and then before you know, those documents that are lying in these institutions or are lying in the office of the National Security Advisor, the other lying ministries of the Minister of Finance and the rest of them, are not really speaking to the real situation on ground.
All right, thank you very much. Let me just introduce my colleague, Victor Azu, who has just come in to replace Claire. Victor, you're welcome.
She has to take care of her voice.
Yes, she has to take care of her. But before, let me just allow you to rest while you listen to the discussion so that you can add to it. Dr. Kufi, I mean, you've listened to Dr. Getso talking about, having a background, check for students, and also AIG in Alagu talking about, integrating the local communities into it, and also the use of employing technology as also part of it. Tell us, what are the key elements of this master plan? What are the key elements of this master plan for tertiary institutions?
Well, you see, number one, we have to know we are in critical security situation. So the whole essence of this is what do we do immediately for the situation on the ground in the country. And I think it was the basis of the statement of His Excellency, the President of the country, that you are under emergency. So under this context of emergency, and I see it is on that basis. Yes, when you are doing master plan, I mean, you need the literature review. You want to know what and what happened, like what DIG said and what to some extent. But the key element, we have to see what is actually happening. Let me give you one example. A lady came to my house in Katsina, in the village. I live in the village. She was kidnapped. I released. Now, that's why when I talk you of campus, we as academics, we are not just looking at the campus, those who live within the confine of the campus perimeter fence. No, we are also looking at our students who are renting rooms outside the campus, because it's part of our constituency. And we should be interested of who are even the landlords of those houses, because maybe the landlord himself is a criminal. So now this lady, who was a student of Federal University, Dusamba, and there, you remember there was a lecturer from Jos who was killed by the bandits in that place. So they were staying in the same house with that lady student. She also had a baby of 5 years old. So when the bandit entered the place, the kids of that lecturer told the father, please hide in the room, we'll be outside to see, because maybe they are looking for you. So he hid inside. Then while he was in the hide, he had the bandit who had taken the whole kids to the bush. So he decided to come out. And as he came out, they put 5 bullets.
They shot him?
Yes, dead. And then they took those kids. And they took that lady with her baby. And one also 5-year-old son of the late professor. They took him. She told me when she came, she said, in fact, that kid they took from the professor's house, he was not even wearing anything except a pant. So, and it was too cold, so she has to take out her hijab and cover the boy. And when they went there, they were doing the negotiation. The wife of the man there, because her 3 kids were there, the negotiation, the people, the bandits were not very happy with the negotiation, because the father of the girl got involved in the negotiation. So they say, this man, this your father, wanted to reduce what they are going to give us. So they say, it's all right, we have agreed with the amount. But your father should bring the money.
Right.
So when the father took the money, and the lady was outside with her baby, 5-year-old, and he saw his grandfather, he ran to him and hold him. And so they say, okay. They call a motorcycle and say, this motorcycle, you and your baby will take you back home, but your father will remain here. In front of her, they started beating the father, and blood was gushing. So they brought her, that was when she came to me. They brought her back into the town, and they killed the father.
Oh.
So now this is what is happening in our campus. So when we start these things, our own preoccupation is not just theoretical thing, Nigeria has this attitude, you write this, right, and you end up just doing things, and probably people have endless meetings with allowances and all this something, and not addressing the problem.
Okay.
So now when, like in the case of that lady, she came back, the father died, and for even last month, she saw me because she is about to complete. But there are many of them, even ABU students were taken. So, but the issue, part of the master plan, is not only looking at this issue at the violent level, but also what is the post-kidnapping situation. There is no even proper platform for counseling. Because when somebody have gone through this kind of
trauma.
Yeah, so there should be, and we do it within the integrated system of the community, because, and you, yes, IGG talk of tradition, yeah, you talk of that, but also we have to face the reality of what is going on in our system. The traditional institutions are not the traditional institutions like before. Most of these traditional institutions don't live even within their own communities. Many of them, somebody will be a traditional ruler, maybe in some part of Katsina, but he lives in Abuja. So he relies on the information they give him. And you see, people do not know what is happening in this banditry. I am involved. I stay in the bush. We get involved in this kind of thing. And if they tell you some, we are testimony. There are some ladies we have taken to the hospital, 9 of them. 40 bandits throughout the night were raping them. And when I took them, and with one of the counselor, we took them. The doctor, after, he called us, he said, yes, we have examined them. But we are sorry, sir, there is nothing we can do. You have to take them to the clinic of the VVF because they have been torn off.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me quickly get to Professor Garba Ibrahim. And I'd like to ask, to what extent can CCTV on tertiary institutions, on campuses, help in all of this? And what is the capacity of universities to be able to do this? Of course, you are bearing in mind the cost of installation, you are bearing power in mind, to get them functioning as it should be.
Well, thank you. I think that that touches on the wider application of technology in the security of the campuses. You see, in a properly functioning university security unit, you have 3 sections. You have the investigation section, which has the duty room, which handles interactions between students and other members of the community and the staff and so on and so forth, and they are directly linked with the police. And you also have the section of guard duty, which is where you have all these uniform personnel sitting at gates and other transformers, installations, classrooms, and so on and so forth, and providing general crowd control during functions. And you also have surveillance. That surveillance unit is the one that is sort of covert, and you have and they are directly also linked with the police and with the DSS. So in this situation, whatever it takes to enhance their, their capability, is done. Things have been said about involvement of policemen and soldiers and so on and so on who are studying on the campus. It goes beyond that. We have police personnel and DSS who are in the campus actually doing their work, not just studying. Of course, they study because they mingle with the students and they also get their degrees and so on and so forth. But in the process, they are actually doing their activities, and they are directly linked with both the university administration and the police. That is what it used to be, and that is why I said that previously campus security was functioning, and everything was okay. Of course, you needed enhancements and so on, but from 1999, things started to deteriorate. Everything was outsourced. So right now, as I'm talking, the security units are mainly manned by personnel that are not even under the control of the university management. They are under the control of a contractor. And the people that he brings in, many of them are even criminals themselves. As a matter of fact, in the last year or so, the chief security officer of our own university was telling us that the majority of the thieves that they caught on the campus were people who were working for these private security organizations that are now the contractors of security on the campus. And the role of DSS and police is also being drawn into the shadows now because of all this desire to reduce cost and do all sorts of things. Now, when it comes to the issue of CCTV on the campus, yes, CCTV is working. It is providing some measure of security, but you will find that it is, the application is limited because the personnel, that you can employ and run is very limited. Right now, they just give you a small amount of what they call overhead cost. Out of that, you take care of security. Out of that, you take care of cleanliness on the campus. Out of that, you take care of electricity and other utilities and so on. And it is not more than 20% of what you need for all this. The result, they say, the rest, they say you have to, you have to do it from internally generated revenue. And at the same time, you cry because the school fees, are very high, and so on and so forth. So the whole thing is, is multidimensional, and it is not being enhanced by the attitude of government towards funding, at least in case of the public university, that is the federal and the state universities. And if we are crying that the federal universities are poorly funded, don't even talk about what is happening at the state universities. For the most part, the state universities are no more than private universities, very poorly funded. So generally speaking, the issue of employment of technology would have been very useful in addressing the security situation, of the campuses. I am also mindful of the very important point made by Getso that it is not only those who are living on the campus, that are the concern of the university, because increasingly a larger percentage of students are living off campus. At the very least, you would have about 50% of the students of residential university living off campus. And there are many private universities now that are not even residential at all. So the students are all living off campus. And universities have to be concerned about the security of these students.
Okay, Prof. You want to comment on that? Because I wanted to ask him about the risk assessments, that they have in the institutions. Because many of, Dr. Getso mentioned something like that. for us to be able to conduct, security checks on the students and the university community.
Yeah.
So, okay, but you want to say something?
Yeah, on this issue of outsourcing, I think, personally, I think it's very dangerous for university to outsource security to private security company. Because private security company, when they go to a place like a university, they are entering there as a business to make money. So which means the quality of service, yes, may be okay, but it will reach that it is the issue of profit. And I don't think it will be tactical. I remember some 6 years or 7 years back in ABU, we got this circular of outsourcing. We rejected it, so I'm surprised. So there are some universities who are having private something. Because not only private securities, also this outsourcing, if you can do it in ministry, you can do it in the university. Like even taking the estate department, where they manage. Because by the time somebody is having access, and you have a private security company having access to all your installation, of which there is no proper check, background check of those workers who are working with the private security, there could be some serious implication. So I think that one is something which must be checked and should be stopped if we want the security of the university.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. We've got some messages coming in, which I would just like us to quickly take so that we can also react to them. Now, this one is from Dr. Joseph Suberu from University of Uyo. He says, to enhance security on most of the federal and state universities, there are two actions that must be taken immediately and seriously: grass clearing and solar lights. I have been around universities and colleges of education in Nigeria, and it appears as if the campuses are always, in most cases, overgrown by grasses, shrubs, and thick vegetation, which serves as hideouts for criminals. All right, and this one is from Ambassador Caleb Gindiri in Plateau. He writes, Peace and Security Club should be established in tertiary institutions and Peace Club in secondary schools. Okay, thank you for keeping it short. This one reads, Good morning, Nigeria. I am Hafsat Usman Idris. I have listened to all what you say, and I appreciate all your suggestions. Thank you. And finally, from me, involving the host community and being proactive in campus security is the best approach to the issue of securing our tertiary institutions. That's from Ibrahim Biu in Borno State.
Okay, maybe you want to respond to some of this.
First of all, I want us to, what crimes or security issues are we dealing with when we are talking about campus security or threat to our institutions altogether? We are talking about terrorism, kidnap, especially mass kidnap. We are talking of, because for this, we are not talking about theft and all the other issues that go on in the universities. A lot of cultism go on in the universities. And I think every university should design a security plan, a proper perimeter fence, and then access control is very critical. Now, even if you live off campus, but if you're a student of the institutions, your data must be in the security system. That as the moment you approach the gate, your picture comes and you go. Which means on a daily basis, you know how many students, you have the identity. You are able to deal with insecurity within the university system. Yeah. Things like shooting, gun violence, and the rest of it. So in dealing with that, if every university should have a plan. Okay. So once you have that plan, you're able to deal with those things. But I think that our universities are very porous. You don't have even perimeter fence. You could just come in from any angle.
But
so,
Prof has tied all of this to funding because the universities are large.
No. When we are talking of funding, the master plan is being sponsored by TED Fund. Our TED Fund has money. TED Fund can start with pilot in some universities. And then there's no need for us to come and sit down if we think funding is going to affect us. And then, the issue that I want to talk about, and I'm very interested in, because when I saw those children, those 100 that were freed, is it Papirian, the St. Mary's Catholic School, and it's very depressing to see young children being kidnapped and all that. And this happened mostly in the rural area. So, and I think that in dealing with this subject matter, I talk about rejigging, supercharging the local government security architecture, which appears not working. Because the situation that we have today is at the local level, those who should cooperate, who in a proactivity, in early warning, how do we carry them along to have early warning? Because when you are talking of proactivity, you talk of early warning, and then before you talk about response. So, and that intelligence that is shared, so that when you see this dust or smoke coming from the invaders, might be you would have been tipped.
Okay.
And then the idea of every campus or every school should have that armed security, that there are levels of security. You start from the university security system, either private or university paid, and then you have maybe the civil defense, the police, and if necessary, the military. Why do you have this? When an attack is coming, these forces on ground are supposed to fend them, act as a delay. Once they delay, and then you have digital alarm or basic radio that all the universities, which even any university should be able to have such radio that the university can be alerted. And then we have the drill so that students should know their role once there's an attack.
Okay.
But this will only work if we at the federal level, we're having the National Security Council, we have the Joint Intelligence Board, and at the state level, we have Security Committee. But at the local government level, they hardly take place. So there is a disconnect. But and I said ground up, everything the state, the federal government should use,
all right. Okay.
comes
Thank you.
from ground up.
Okay, thank you, AIJ. From ground up, that is integrate the community into the security apparatus. Okay, we'll continue. Thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And our discussion is still on security master plan for tertiary institutions. And our guests are still seated in the studio to respond to some of the comments that we have received from our viewers. Let me read out some of them. This one is from Akeju Olagbaju. It says, first and foremost, we have Umbrella National Security Master Plan. And my take is that the implementation should be community-based to achieve the desired results. This is the missing link. All right. Now, this from Nandom Uye from Jos. It says, how do the surrounding communities' crime rates and geographical location affect campus security? One, what ongoing training is required for staff and students regarding security awareness and emergency procedures? Two, then how quickly must security personnel respond to an incident, and what are the procedures to ensure a timely arrival? Thank you for your service. God bless Nigeria. Now, the third one, so that Dr. Getto can respond to some of this. What are you doing? This from Musa Abubakar from ABU Zaria. So what are you doing to secure those staying off campus? And how can leadership of the host community assist with intels? Dr. Getso, you want to respond to some of these?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I think the last question, let me start with it.
Okay.
Yes, of course. the community, the host communities have a great role to play if there is a communication, partnership, and collaboration between the institutions and the communities. Let me tell you, somebody talk about a community-driven base strategy. I was in Afghanistan, I was in Myanmar, I was in India, I was in Sri Lanka, where a community-driven approach, where I designed and facilitated the implementation of a community-driven approach to address issues related to community-based crimes, which I think I have been discussing and I have been advocating. And since when I came back in 2015, I have been writing submissions to different quarters of government on what to do in order, we must enhance and improve a community-based approach on how we deal with all the security strategies, not even only the campus. So now, the university is supposed to have a master plan, a geographical master plan of all the, not only the immediate, the host community, but even within the territory of at least minimum of 40-kilometer radius. Profile the types of crimes, profile the history of crimes, profile the background of current and old criminals, even if they died. You must conduct a feasibility study on even those who died among the criminals, because some of the perspective, behavioral perspective of their attitude might have been injected into some individuals, which can easily reflect in targeting our institutions. So there should be a connection. I know there is a total disconnect.
Okay.
And until and unless, when we are looking at the security of our tertiary institutions, we shouldn't be looking at it in the perspective of the parameter of the institutions itself, or the host community, or the host local government. But by extension, we should also extend our strategic thinking and systematic approach of looking at the extended radius, geographical radius, probably 10-kilometer radius, probably 5-kilometer radius, probably 40-kilometer radius. It all depends on, let's take, for example, the Ahmadu Bello University we have been discussing as an example. Once you leave Shika, once you leave, you arrive at Ahmadu Bello University after College of Aviation, you are at risk as far as I'm concerned. Because between the College of Aviation down to Giwa is a very dangerous route. There are a lot of dangerous criminals at the back, 30 kilometers at the back of the university, and also a route of the university, and those who communicate between Zaria, Giwa, Shika, Marabanguga, Funtua, Shemi, and down to Sokoto. So those who are interacting with those communities, most of them, there are a number of motor parks. So how do you profile them? What do you look into? So in a nutshell, not to take it longer, it is very, very necessary and essential for security department of each institution to conduct profiling, social profiling, security profiling, and background check. And also, out of that social profiling, it must identify who are the immediate responders.
Okay.
Somebody asks a question, when is it effective for a security agency to respond when there is an incident report? Yes, of course. We consider each risk as a security threat, and the security threat is not expected to have any delay. It should be immediate. And that is why there should be a kind of a close communication, not between the security department alone. There should be a quick communication between the security department, the traditional institutions, the civil society organizations, and community-based structures. A student union of campus, they should be. Government should encourage initiating the structure that will have a database on who is living and where.
Okay.
And there should be a strategic mapping for the houses or the locations of those off-campus hostel Either it is rented or either it is... Government, also the university should have a collaboration and partnership with the owners of those houses and rooms outside the campus, so that they will know who are the guards around the area, who are the vigilance, and the communities must be encouraged to see something and say something. And there must be a dedicated line or numbers, phone numbers, between... That is where it's very important for all the institutions to collaborate and partner with communication, the service providers, to provide them with numbers, toll-free numbers, that can easily, if there is anything, when you see something, this is where you say it. And there should be a suggestion box everywhere. And those suggestion box, students, staff, and everybody coming around the university should be encouraged.
All right.
To use the community-based approach. Even it means using the local language to write something and drop. And then it shouldn't be the normal drop box that we normally have. We keep them for 10 years, 30 years, nobody is checking. It should be checked on weekly basis, and there should be a briefing. AIG talk about the reactivation of the local government security committee. As far as I'm concerned, 774 local governments that we have in Nigeria, they have active local government security committees. But the problem is participation. How many university chief security officers are attending the monthly local government review meeting? Most of the local government chairmen are not attending. They normally send the vice chairman, who cannot make a decision. And then some of the, even the security representatives of the other security architecture that we have within the local government, within the host local government, they don't also attend. So we have to be very careful. The communication and networking must be improved between the responders, the dependents, the students, the host communities, and also the outline profile that we must have conduct, and also our need assessment must be reviewed every now and then.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Getsu. I'd like to get back to Professor Garba Ibrahim. I see that he's back with us. And I'm asking, based on your experience in the university system, would you suggest that on the basis of security risk assessment that some campuses should be relocated, redesigned, rezoned, or something? Can amendments be made based on security risk assessment?
Well, first of all, I don't think it is a matter of relocation. After all, if you are having security challenges, you should develop a mechanism to respond to it. It is not a matter of running away. I tell you, at that time when there was a bomb blast, and I want to correct the impression, actually there was one bomb blast within the university. There was one scare, but it was not a bomb blast. The other time when we had security breach in the university was when Giwa Barracks was attacked, and the soldiers were responding. Some of their stray bullets naturally entered the campus because we are very near. But when we had that bomb blast and a professor, was and the university senate convened on an emergency meeting to consider the response, the students of the campus actually protested that there should be no attempt to close down the university because of that bomb blast. So that was how resilient it is. And there is a robust engagement system between the university and the community, at least at the University of Maiduguri, and with communities surrounding the university. Unfortunately, even though in the past, communities, even far-flung away from the university, were involved in the network, the insecurity dislodged many of these communities, and therefore the system was disrupted. But right now, there is a very good network between between university, the university community and the community of Maiduguri. We call it town and gown, and it is a very robust community. Almost every committee that is operating in the university has representation from the town, from the town community. And the university also participates in committees emirate council, local governments, and also of the state government. So there is actually a very tight communication there. And I think that is how universities should be able to respond to their own specific kind of challenges that they find wherever they may find themselves. I know that some of the universities, the location of the universities in the first place, were ill-advised. It was just politically motivated. Somebody wants to take a university to his village and so on. But once the university becomes a community of itself there, then it should be able to respond to its own challenges. I don't think relocation is the answer. The answer is what Dr. Getso, has been saying. The university should develop a robust connection between it and its immediate catchment area, so that it can leverage on that in order to enhance its own security. That is my take on it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. But I still want to stay with you because someone asked a question which I want you to respond to. We'll come to you, Dr. Getso. And the question is, what ongoing training is required for staff, or do you have for staff and students regarding security awareness? Do you conduct regular training for them and emergency procedures in tertiary institutions?
Well, in University of Maiduguri, yes, and in those institutions where I headed, we did institute that because I tend to be very, having been Dean of Students at the University of Maiduguri for 5 years, became, especially in the period of the millennium when there were so many problems, security consciousness was ingrained in me. Wherever I am, I tend to take that into consideration. I don't know what other universities are actually doing, but here at the University of Maiduguri, we do have levels of training. Every executive council, students union, newly elected, are made to undergo certain trainings, including conflict management and also security responses. And then, of course, the security drills that are organized by the University Security Office, for campus residents. I don't think it extends to those who are living outside the campus. But I also know that the Security Office of the university liaises very closely with the Divisional Police Office, at Gonge, and other outlying divisions. And we do have, therefore, some measure of training that is, but mostly security consciousness. Because the important thing, as see, we can't take up arms, we can't do much, we are a box-in community. So it is security consciousness, being conscious of what the challenges are, and being able to know where to report if there is any problem. And this has been working actually very well at the University of Maiduguri.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you for your submission. Okay,
Yeah,
Dr. Getso, you wanted to say? Okay.
Notice boards are very, very important and useful in terms of creation of awareness in our institutions. So I advocate for all the chief security officers and the managers of the universities and tertiary institutions to take a very good advantage in terms of providing those maybe emergency numbers that can be reached to prompt both the security and the managers of the institutions. It is essential also to note, we have been discussing issue of funding. Yes, of course, everybody is talking about funding. There are a lot of untapped opportunities in Nigeria, which if the government is interested, can mobilize us in order to fast track and put through the institutions, the management and leadership of the institutions, which will incredibly assist and help in reducing the cost of managing the institutions by the government. Public-private partnership is very important. Corporate social responsibility opportunities are there. Philanthropies are there. And then even the contractors, the foreign contractors and the foreign miners all those foreign institutions that come to Nigeria in order to make money, how much have they been, what percentage have the government sanctioned them? Or in our memorandum of understanding with our diplomatic offices within the country, how effective are we tapping those resources? There are a lot more of opportunities. If the government is serious, if we really have an administration that will be ready, there are a lot of things that we can provide on the table that can be useful. And at the same time, there is a submission which we have made to the one of the offices of the security at the highest level, which is very, very important. Unified surveillance system, whereby ever happening in all institutions and surrounding the institutions within the 3-kilometer radius will be monitored. And with these installations, you can have the unified control surveillance system at either the Ministry of Education stationed, or either at the Office of the National Security Advisor, or either as the Defense or the Police, or anywhere. Government can decide to put the router at the center, wherever it falls. And then those are tools that are not really expensive, and we can easily take advantage of the solar system in managing it.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Getsu. Let me quickly get to Dr. Bashir Kofi. How do we strike a balance, between security, given the situation we found ourselves in, and the open nature of university academic life?
Yes, it's very simple, because you look at what happened before. You see, so what it is that everybody should know that they have a responsibility toward the safety of our kids, because that's what makes university unique. And that's what makes even we who work in the university, we are different with people who work in the civil service, because our personal morality and commitment to our kids are precondition for that kind of profession. There is something which somebody in ministry can say, which I cannot say, because how would my student look at me? And sometimes, the insecurity is created by those workers by mere of their statements. Because when they see these students, if I enter a class, I talk to them. You see, even if I'm lying, before you dismantle that lie, will take another 2 months for you from outside. So, but what it is here, in terms of the training of the students, you see, part of the master plan is what are the mechanisms you do in mobilizing them. If now, for example, you train students, you say, if you hear anybody that comes to kidnap your own colleagues, all of you should have catapult. From all angles you start, it will scare, because criminal doesn't want any attack. Yes, so they will say, look, if you enter a campus, it's a problem. And also the teachers, you just don't run away. Everybody can take a cover to see how does she bring disruption. And we know what we said.
Dr. Kuzi, because of time, tell us, when is this master plan coming to, implementation?
Yes, the most important now is the mobilization of the campuses. And we also, have to look at, when you talk of the security in campuses, it's not only the kidnapping. You have even lab where fire comes, or something, somebody can smoke and all this. So this will take up immediately. Now the starting point is the orientation of the communities, the university community, and also and mind you, this is not something of the security of the country, or this is overview. We are not substitute to police or to, it's just that what is the idea based on our experience as university people. What are the basic things, and what is the best?
Let's take a final word from AIG Wilson Nalego. Just 30 seconds, Anto.
Yeah, I know, thank you. All I want to say is training members of the university community on security protocol is very critical. And I think having community policing, bringing the local police to tell you of crime trends and what you need to do, I think it's very important. So that partnership, that collaboration with the Nigerian police will be critical to ensuring the security of our universities. And then in designing your university, if the NUC, I think the NUC should think about where are you locating the university, what are the security challenges, and the plan you have, does it accommodate the security concerns?
All right.
And
I believe they are watching and they are listening to all these suggestions. We want to believe that all the suggestions preferred will be implemented. Thank you very much, retired AIG Wilson Inalego, for your contribution this morning. Thank you. Also, we want to thank Dr. Yahuza Getso, Security Intelligence and Investigation Experts. Thank you for your contribution as well. We want also a big thank you to Dr. Bashir Usman Kofi, is the chairman, Backers Guards and Security, a retired lecturer from ABU, and also chairman of Security Initiative. Thank you so much, Dr. Kofi. And a big thank you to Professor Garba Ibrahim of the Department of History and Strategic Studies, University of Maiduguri. Thank you so much, sir, for your contribution.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thanks for being there. My name is Ademola Adeoye. You have a pleasant day.
And I'm Victor as well. I'll see you again tomorrow when I'll be here from the get-go.